Well, hello and welcome back to the Daily Brew, the devotional where every day we drink a new brew of coffee and we see what God is brewing for us in the Bible. Yes, it's cheesy, but it's true. And today you join me on day 86. Day 86, I had the wrong notes there. There you go, day 86. Great to have you with me today. Looking forward to getting into the Bible and getting into all that God has to say to us. As always, our devotionals. Scriptures for today are in the descriptions on every platform. If you're joining us for the first time, a massive welcome. You are on the wrong day, though. You should go back to day one and start again so that you can read the whole Bible in a year. You will have missed 86 or 85 days if you watch this one first. So go back to day one and start again. But for those of you joining me again, welcome. 86 is our day. Let's get into our scriptures. Have a look at what they are. They're in the descriptions, as I've already said, but I'll read them to you as well. Psalm 37, 32 to 40, Luke 6, 37 to 7:10, and Numbers 22, 21 to 23, 26. So those are our scriptures for today, and I can't wait to get into those. But we are back on the coffee, and we're making our way through some new beans that I found at the supermarket. And I was looking at the supermarket aisle, and Pack and Save around where I live here in Auckland has a great range, way better than what I had ever seen before. And so I got a brew. I got a type of coffee here that, look, Jed's Coffee says it's just great coffee. And by rule of thumb, anything that says it's great on the packaging, it doesn't tend to be great. But this has got a giant shiny X on it. And so I grabbed it, brought it home, and then read, this is not number 1 for smooth. This is not even number 2 for medium. This is not even number 5 for extra strong. This X means it's extreme. And when I opened up the packet, these beans are so dark that they look like chocolate. And that's because this is as dark as it gets. Intense, smoky cocoa notes without the bitterness. It's full bodied. That's the tasting notes for it today. So there should be some dark cocoa. It smells insanely intense. Like it smells so wild. So I'm gonna get into it right now. Let's give it a try and let's see what it tastes like. I've done it in the Chemex. I brewed a bunch of cups this morning so that my whole family can have some. But here we go. And by my whole family, I mean Annalise and I. So there you go. Because we'll drink it all. Let's have a go. Let's taste it. Let's see what it feels like today. Wow. Oh. I don't know where they're getting without the bitterness from. Woo! Jeepers. Is this coffee made for smokers? People have just burnt away their taste buds? Oh. Well, they're not wrong. The packaging does not lie. This is extreme. I'm trying to figure out if I like it or not. Why is it extreme? It's extreme because of the intensity of flavor that you get on your tongue and almost in the back of my throat for some reason. It's really intense in the back of my throat. So, look, I mean, I'm not like anti this coffee. I wouldn't pick this coffee again. Like, I'm going to brew it and I'm going to use all the beans. I hope I can. It's very strong. I don't think Annalise is going to like this at all. I think she's going to say this is too intense. It is extreme. I don't know who's out here feeling like they need more of that extremity in their life. I think if you're out here trying to get that coffee extreme, maybe you just need to relax a little bit, okay? Just try and find some flavor in some coffee. For me, it's definitely, I mean, it is what it says on the packet. Like, can I judge it? Okay, let me tell you what I think. I think it's a solid 4 out of 10 in terms of like, would I have this again? Probably not. If it was the only thing on earth, would I drink it? Yes, but that's a very low bar. So, look, I've said what I've said, okay? It says it's just great coffee. It doesn't feel like it's just great coffee. It's very extreme. And if you're into extreme things, then get amongst that. Jed's Extreme Blend. It's just great coffee. Okay, let's move on, though, into our Bible devotional for today, the reason that we are here. If you think of gospel heroes in our generation, who would you think of? I'm sure you could list off a few, maybe one, at least one, of our gospel heroes of our generation. On your list, it would be extremely hard to go past Billy Graham. In his lifetime, it's recorded that he spoke to 210 million people in person about Jesus and almost half the population of the world on TV and radio. Billy Graham made a difference for the gospel message during his lifetime. Without any shadow of a doubt, he was a brilliant ambassador for the cause of Christ. We're all called to be ambassadors of the gospel, to reach people and share the gospel with them. Now, I'm not saying all of us need to start hosting crusades and start TV shows and go out there and be wild, but we all need to take the gospel and take it a little further than it has been before through the level of our influence that we have right now. We need to take the message and be the messenger. That's how John the Baptist was described in Luke 7:27. And just like John, we can be messengers for God too. But how? Well, Psalms tells us two things today. We first need to stay close to God. Staying close to God will allow us to hear the message well. We need to wait on the Lord so that we can hear his message. We're delivered by taking refuge in him. Stay close to God in your day through prayer, worship, and when tough stuff pops up, start running to him. We also read about how the future is awaiting those who seek peace. Seeking peace helps us share the gospel message. Jesus is known as the Prince of Peace, and if we're seeking peaceful reconciliation, our future in God will be secure. In Luke, we read about how Jesus instructs us not to judge or condemn people. It's amazing how quickly we actually judge people. We all think we're not that judgy, but I bet you, as you walk towards someone, most of us are running a billion questions through our mind, evaluating and judging that person to see if they're normal, if we're safe around them. We make judgment calls about who they are without actually getting to know them personally. Because of this, we rule people out or we expect unfairly on them. In our passage in Luke today, we read Jesus' famous message about getting the plank out of our own eye before worrying about the speck in others. It's a brilliant message and it's pretty convicting too. We need to make sure that we're not quick to judge, but we're quick to accept. People do deserve our best. Now, it doesn't mean that there's excuse for sin here, and acceptance doesn't mean that we just let people do whatever they want. But acceptance means, despite of your sin, I love you for who you are. I'm willing to look over your sin, to love and accept you. And then I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you by pointing you to the gospel message. I'm going to help you by showing you through the Bible how we can improve our lives and become more like Christ. But we don't judge people before we've actually got to know them. We don't judge people based on the way they look. We don't judge people based on the way they live. We don't judge people at all. That's not our job. Our job is to love humanity to life. God doesn't judge us, does he? Well, he does. At the end of our lives, God is going to judge us. But while we're here on earth, he embraces us. That's why he sent his son to bring reconciliation back to us. He embraces us as we are right now and journeys with us to health, life, and victory through Christ. And if that's what God does for us, I reckon we should be doing that for others too. Another thing we read in Luke is about forgiveness. Jesus said to forgive, and then we will be forgiven, right? Forgive, and we will be forgiven. Forgiveness is not something that we do for others. It's actually something we primarily do for ourselves. Our forgiveness shouldn't be conditional on their sorry. Okay, we have to be okay with the fact that they might never say sorry, but forgiveness towards them releases something in us, and it also releases heaven's forgiveness. So it releases them from whatever we're carrying, the bitterness, the anger, the frustration. It releases that, and then it also releases heaven's forgiveness on our life. Friend, I want to encourage you to let them go today. Let them go. It's not worth your worry. It's not worth your anger. It's not worth your time. Forgiveness, grace, and mercy are a core part of the gospel message. And we need to make sure that we're practicing this in our lives too, not just being messengers of something we don't practice. We need to understand that all authority on earth comes from being under authority ourselves. We don't live like that in an individualistic society. We like to have our own say, right? We like to have our own thoughts and we like to be our own person. And so coming under authority is something that we don't want to do. And to be honest, you can live like that. There's nothing stopping you from living like that. But if you live like that, be prepared. Be prepared. You are not going to have any authority. Jesus didn't live like that, did he? He was fully man and fully God, but he was still under the authority of his Father. And because he had tremendous authority here on earth. If you are under authority, you'll be allowing God to be your Lord, to lead you, guide you, and instruct you. You'll be led by the Holy Spirit, and this will empower you to go further and impact more people than you could on your own. All authority comes from being under authority. The last thing I want to point out today is the importance of finishing well. Man, as people, we love to start things. Hey, we're really good at starting things. We place a lot of importance on how we start. We talk a lot about first impressions. That was drilled into me as a kid. First impressions are so important. We're good at getting momentum. And all of this is important. I'm not saying this is not important, but how we finish something will set us up for the next thing. It's our last impression that leaves the lasting taste, not our first impression. Our first impression opens the door, but our last impression keeps that door open. You know, Annalise and I finished on staff at a church recently at the time of recording this, and we were challenged to make sure that we finished well. Everything we did unto God, not man. We worked hard, and we made sure we left that season in the best possible place we could. We sat together and we prayed on the altar on our last day of work. We worked hard. We made sure we did everything we possibly could. We crossed as many T's as we could. We dotted as many I's as we could. We did some overtime as per usual to make sure that we had everything set up for the next people who were going to take our roles on. And then we sat together and we prayed. We prayed on the altar in the auditorium. We sat together, just Annalise and I in the auditorium, and we cried. And we lay it down. We thanked the Lord for all the awesome things that he taught us, and all the awesome things he'd given us through the journey. We wanted to finish well. And when we left Wellington, we prayed together. And we thank God for an amazing season of time, the opportunity to come together, to know each other, to find each other, to be called, anointed, and appointed, to have friends that we've built, to find mission and purpose. And we wanted to make sure we finished really, really well. So we prayed a blessing upon Wellington. We prayed a blessing upon the church as we left. We sorted out our affairs, and then we left with our heads held high, honorably and peacefully. How we finish things is as important as it is how we start things. It's so important to finish well. Balaam in our Numbers reading is cited as an example as a false prophet. You can actually read about that in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 15 to 16. He didn't start that way though. That's the key. He didn't start as a false prophet. He started in a way to spread the gospel message and serve the Lord, but over time he changed. He changed along the way, and he made money the driving factor for his life. While he started well, he drifted and ultimately didn't finish his journey well. We have to make sure that we're faithful to God, not getting sidetracked or distracted, and we actually finish well, bringing glory and honor to God through the way that you go into the next thing. Verse of the day. Yes, verse of the day today, Luke 6:40 is our verse of the day. It says, "The student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher." I'm all for giving the young up-and-coming Christians a shot in church. I'm all for empowering leadership, and I'm all for making sure that they have a place to serve. But be careful. Jesus makes a clear difference here. This starts with this verse 39, talks about, Jesus asked the question, can the blind lead the blind? The answer is no, they all end up in a pit. And while we need to give young Christians a go, we need to make sure that as young Christians ourselves, we're under leadership and we're committed to growing. The young can't always do the leading. Sometimes mature faith and wisdom is actually the way to go. And so that way we don't both end up in a pit. And that is it for today. The Daily Brew done and dusted. Thank you so much for joining me today. Day 86 wrapped. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're joining us on our audio podcast platforms, please make sure you follow and rate the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like this devotional video, and click the bell so you never miss a devotional upload as we go along this journey. Thank you so much for joining me today. I pray a blessing upon you and that God is speaking to you through these scriptures as he is with me. Have a great rest of your day if it's the start of your day. Unless it's the end, good night, sleep tight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 87 on the Daily Brew.